1380 WAOK, the voice of the community, calling 447-226-1380. Get involved in the conversation. We're still having this conversation about the humanitarian crisis going on among the Palestinian people. Also, there's an aid package working its way through the Congress right now, which Republicans are saying they're not going to vote in favor of because it combines support for Israel along with support for the Ukraine war, which is a very strange thing. Now, of course, we can't even get the aid package through because there's currently no Republican Speaker of the House either way. So I want to bring in one of my conservative friends to kind of get some light on what exactly the Republican strategy is on these issues. Joining us now is Woodrow Johnston, conservative activist, political strategist. Woodrow, how are you doing today?
Robert, thank you so much for having me on. Really appreciate it. You came on Tucker, so I think it's only fair that one of us come on your show.
We always like having our conservative friends on. Some of our callers, particularly Cornelius, hates it when we have both sides on, but I feel like you can't have a constructive conversation if you're just talking into an echo chamber. So I think it's important to work both ways. So, Woodrow, can you kind of explain the GOP position? Because Tim Scott said today that he's not going to vote in favor of Israeli funding if it contains Ukrainian funding. What is the opposition to Ukrainian funding that conservatives have recently developed?
Well, it just goes back. Here's the thing. Most bills should be single-issue bills. I think probably the biggest problem in Washington is that we pack a lot of stuff into one bill. And the fact of the matter is most Americans support Israel, and there are a considerable amount of Americans who much more than Israel, that don't support this conflict in Ukraine and don't think it's our fight.
Well, now, I think, but on the other hand, you have a lot of people who would say that this battle in Israel isn't our fight, that has nothing really to do with us. Why should we be investing money into that? That if we're going to say that we have to support Israel, then are we going to say we have to support the Aborigines in Australia as they try to get rid of the European colonizers there? Are we going to say we have to support, the Cherokee and the Iroquois here, and they're going to try to get rid of the colonizers here? Why exactly do we have to support Israel?
Well, I think, just going back to your original premise, Robert, I think all these things, if there's popular support for either side of any of the issues you just named, then there should be a vote on it. And because that's how a democracy, that's how a republic functions. So to tie it into all one bill, I don't think anyone would think that's fair.
Now, on the point of, before we can even get to the point, or get to the place of having a vote on the funding for these wars, we have to get to the place of what the hell is going on with Republicans in the House of Representatives. Because we're going on almost 20 days now without a Speaker of the House, without really any end in sight. They got rid of Kevin McCarthy on a very slim vote because Kevin McCarthy made a compromise with Biden to keep the government open, but it seems that they did that without any plan for what comes after. So what comes next for Republicans so we can actually get the country back running?
Absolutely. Well, I think we're in uncharted territory. I can make a prediction. I never thought that McCarthy would lose the spot, then he did. So I've kind of given up on having a crystal ball and being able to predict the future. My current prediction, again, this is just a prediction, is that, the speaker will kind of return to more of an administrative or more ceremonial role like it does in other countries. And we'll see, the spokesperson of the party be maybe more like the majority leader or minority leaders of each party instead of kind of the situation we have now, which there is some historical precedent behind that.
But at the same time, Joe Biden is, God bless him, 80-something years old. So let's say that he, God forbid, passed away. And then Kamala Harris, on the way to be sworn in, slipped down the stairs and passed away. Who the hell would be third in line to be president right now of the United States of America? That is the reason we have a 27th Amendment is to clarify that. It would turn the country into a constitutional chaos if that took place. Would it be Hakeem Jeffries because he has the most votes? Would McHenry become the president since he's the interim speaker? What exactly is the answer?
Robert, I mean, you know, again, I'm not an attorney, so you might know better than me, but my current interpretation is that Patty Murray, who's the president pro tempore, would actually become president of the United States in that situation, because they, you know, right now McHenry is in a acting position. So yeah, no, I would say that the next person in line after Kamala Harris would be Patty Murray.
But the 27th Amendment tells us the Speaker of the House is third in line. We don't have a Speaker. So how the question becomes, if at this point it took McCarthy 15 rounds of voting to become the Speaker. We've gone through McCarthy, then Scalise, then Jordan. Now we have 7 people, I think, running. Some people are getting behind Byron Donald. Some people are getting behind some of these other candidates. What will it take to unite the Republican Party? Because my thought was that the Republican Party would unite around Trump. But then Trump endorsed Jim Jordan, and that went nowhere. So what exactly will it take to bring these various factions, these warring clans within the GOP together?
I wish I had the answer to that. And I think that eventually the Republicans are going to reach a consensus on this. I think that there's a lot of people out there kind of putting out this narrative that there's chaos in the Republican conference. And the reality is this is our democracy, our republic is functioning exactly as it's intended. Our ancestors came from a place where these disputes were not settled by voting, by debates. They were settled by a barrel of a gun or an edge of a sword. So I think that, that we're having this debate now is, frankly, it's healthy. And I think it would be disingenuous to say that only Republicans suffer from this kind of disunity.
That's just fact. This is the first time this has happened. Think about it. When Nancy Pelosi had issues with the squad back in 2020, there was huge division among the wings of the Democratic Party, and they went into conference and they made compromise. Pelosi said, "I'm only going to serve one more term as Speaker. Then we're going to hand it over to Hakeem Jeffries." People like James Clyburn and Steny Hoyer said, "Well, we won't leave Congress, but we'll move into an emeritus role." Giving more power to the progressive wing of the party. We'll push through more progressive agenda items and we'll compromise on more of these things. And that's how they were able to get that done and get Pelosi as the Speaker. So it's kind of unprecedented for a party to have this fight out in public. The way I would describe it is, you and your wife are going to a dinner party. You guys are cussing and yelling and fighting in the car the whole ride there. You get to the party, you walk out and you smile, you shake hands, you make it like nothing is wrong. You get back in the car and keep fighting all the way home. That's the way it's always been. The Republicans are now that couple that gets into the argument at the dinner table full of people and starts throwing things back and forth during dinner. Can you stick with one more segment so we can keep this going?
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to keep the conversation going with Woodrow Johnston, conservative activist, Catholic, husband, father, American, GOP strategist. We'll be back after the break. News and Talk 1380 WAOK.